Hello, welcome back. Today I want to talk about dynamic EQ, why you would use it, when you would use it, the differences between dynamic EQ and regular side chaining. I have a project here that I want to use as a demonstration to illustrate this. So we'll get to that in a second. But first I have a couple quick announcements. The first one is just about my feedback service. I have my profile set up through audiu.net. I believe that's what it is. The link's in the description. So if you want me to give you full, detailed, comprehensive feedback on your track, I'd be happy to do so. The link's in the description. Also, if you're looking for a little extra exposure for your music, I've been managing and curating a Spotify playlist called Underground Discovery. It has currently 1,500 or so active listeners, and it's growing every day. If you want to submit your track to get placed in the playlist, the link's in the description for that as well. And I also have some other additional bonuses with that. I have a SoundCloud page that I have associated with the Underground Discovery as well. Um, so there's a few different options. Um, and then lastly, if you're looking for even more promotion, specifically on Spotify, I mean, we all know that making it a great track is only the first part of the battle. You need to get it in front of the right people. You want people to enjoy it, or what's the point? It needs to be heard. So I highly recommend a company called Playlist Push. I personally use them and they are legit. I love the way they have everything structured and set up. It works and I highly recommend them. So I have a referral code for them in the description. If you're looking for that sort of a thing, then you can support this channel if you'd like by using my code at no extra cost to you. Okay, so that's my plug. Okay, let's get into this example here. So I'm going to play back a little section of this project. Pretty much everything's muted except the drums and this synth riser here. That's what we'll be focusing on. So here's what we're working with. Okay, cool. So that synth riser is just droney. It's rising in pitch. It's really kind of atmospheric, and it builds the tension throughout the track. And originally, I just had this, basic side chaining that's pumping with the kick, and I just thought it was a little bit too much. I didn't really like the pumping effect on this sound. Sometimes that's what you want. In this case, I wasn't really digging it. So I tried out the dynamic EQ and I thought it suited the track much better. So how I set that up was I bounced out a little section of the whole drum group or the drum bus, and that's what this is here. Um, and that allows me to use that as a trigger. I could crank the volume on that if I need to really have even more control over how that EQ is ducking. And if I, say for instance, take out little pieces of the drum, say here, that effect is still going to be present. That dynamic EQ is still going to be happening. And I could set this up just by side chaining. My drum group to the track that I want to duck. If I do it that way though, and I pull out the kick, then it's not, it's not going to be ducking to the kick anymore unless you use an external trigger. So that's why I opted to do it that way, but you don't necessarily have to. So let's grab our EQ, and before I do that, I'm actually going to push this up the volume of the synth riser while we're working on this, just so I can hear how it's going to react and dial in the dynamic EQ, you know, when the riser is at full volume. So I'm going to use the TDR Nova EQ for this, which I believe is free. And I'm going to head to this little wrench tab, go down to processing, and then select the riser trigger here. Now I'm going to go to external sidechain, and then on the preset here, I think I'm just going to grab the 3-band dynamic preset. So this is great because then for each one of my bands, I can adjust the threshold, the amount that it's, you know, going to be triggered at, or where it's going to be triggered at, the ratio, and all kinds of things, just like a compressor. So let's kind of dial this in a little bit. Just push up the frequency of the low band a little bit. So yeah, then I can duck the low end a little bit harder, and really make room for that kick. I can duck, you know, the top end to taste, to really you know, make sure those hi-hats are coming through, and then I can, you know, for instance with this sound, maybe leave the mid-range alone, duck it maybe a little bit, but not nearly as much as I would the low and the high end. And you know, this is great. It really gives a more natural sound, and instead of ducking just the overall volume of the sound like you would on a normal sidechain, it's reacting to all the frequencies of my drum bus, which really sounds nice in this case. So let's do just a little before and after here. Let's turn this off, and then let's kick it in. Without the dynamic EQ, and with without it, and with. And let's compare that to just the regular sidechain. So this is the dynamic EQ, and sidechain. So there you go. Dynamic EQ really gives you all the control you need to really dial in, you know, how your sound is ducking against whatever you want to, you know, make room for. In this case, it's my drums. I think it sounds nice. It sounds natural. It's really hard. You don't really notice the ducking effect at all. So yeah, thought I would share that with you. Hopefully it was useful. Leave me a comment or question, and I will catch you soon. Cheers.